to start. Too bad. I guess.
Too bad. Sucks to be Kyle. Hey, all right, we are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Laser Source Podcast. I was going to say podcast.
You're killing it.
I don't know what a podcast. You know what? I'm really good at my job.
I like how you're looking sideways too.
Yeah, well, I was looking. I'm trying to see like if we're going live or not over there.
I gotta
like in the
measure it.
actual.
All right, let's start the show. Ready? 3,
Yeah,
2, 1.
Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Laser Source Podcast, the number one podcast if you like math.
I don't know if that's better, but
we're doing it today. And no, that's not your mom's new nickname. It is CAD software, which we're going to use to do some cool stuff, including both 3D, as you would expect, modeling, but also 2D modeling for use with lasers, cutting machines in general, laser cutting, welding, nonsense, all that kind of shit. You could also, I guess, use it for like water jet if you wanted to.
I feel like real quick, I just want to roll it back and figure that when we talked about 3Ds, we missed talking about your mom's activities that she enjoys. But anyways, keep going.
3Ds.
Yeah.
I printed something really cool on my new printer. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, let's look at it.
Check this guy out.
Whoa, that's cool.
He's so sick, dude. He's posable.
Multicolored.
He's got like all these joints. Yeah, he's multicolor. So his skeleton is PLA plus black.
Did it print flat like one shot, or was it?
No, this was 2 shots. So the skeleton was one, and then the armor, the quote unquote armor, was the second print.
Wow, and then it all just fits together that nicely.
Yep, and like every single joint like articulates, so you can move it kind of however you want, which is pretty cool. He's all like posable and stuff. I know the lighting situation here is not.
Oh, it's cool. That guy, by the way,
conducive.
0 Ds.
0 D, yes, indeed. So here's. Can I just like?
Yeah,
that's not working at all for me.
Look how smooth that is. That's actually like there's not a ton of
Why does it
lines.
look so black? Why can't you just like see the color of him? I don't know. He's super bright green. I don't know why the color is being so weird, but
he looks like bright green, brighter than this.
Yeah, dude, he's tight. He's sick. He's a sick little dude. Oh, you know what? It's because I think I have the OBS chroma key filter on.
Mm-hmm. But it looks really good. I like it, man. Good work.
Let me turn that off.
By the way, this is with the 3D printer that you had that you talked about last week, right? Or a couple weeks ago with the
unboxing. In fact, I just published an episode about it on the Make Army channel. Did you watch it?
I did. Yeah, the quiet unboxing.
The Elegoo Centauri Carbon thing is pretty friggin' sweet. Here, now you can see how green he is. Look at that.
I want you at this point to splice in. That does look really nice, by the way. I want you to splice in times where you're like, I'm not gonna get into 3D printing. That's a bunch of
dude. You know, I slipped. You know what I mean? Like I slipped into it, and it hurt on the way down, but now I'm here. And,
but what's interesting is in our chats, like where me, you, and Kyle hang out usually, that's where you were like, it's so different than what I remember being it from like 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, yeah, it's actually doable now, and that's kind of the thing. Is like before when people would ask me like, why aren't you printing? Why aren't you doing 3D printing? I feel like it was much more of like an active endeavor, and now it's just kind of like buy some shit and fucking slap it on the printer and press go. And I have the capacity for, because that's always been my argument against it, is that I just don't have the capacity on top of all the laser shit we do, on top of all of the obligations of the channel, you know, running the LMA, making new episodes, like needing to know everything about laser. I just couldn't take on another hobby where I had to know everything about it. And now with 3D printing, you don't need to know everything about it anymore. It's gotten that easy.
Well, and that's one of the things where it's I would say like for certain machines, it is almost as easy as like print and cut kind of a deal. You know what I mean? Like it's just you drop it and plop it and it's good to go. And then there's the other ones where, like you said, I think one of the things we had talked about like a few years back, I think it was like 2 years ago even, I had the Vivasun Super Racer, or not the Vivasun, sorry. I had the Super Racer 500, which basically like you had to look at filament, you had to look at feed speed, you had to look at the heat, you had to look, there were so many different things. and it was such a pain in the butt. And then you'd have to guess, you'd have to learn, and you have to figure out. It's kind of like when you're looking at frequency, speed, power, and trying to figure out all that crap. And so then you're on, different websites and stuff. So I get that. But now there's just so many cool tools like the one that you unboxed. And then I've got the X1 Carbon. And then Kyle has, which one? I know he's got a
P1S.
P1S. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like you can just go. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Love it.
So yeah, I've been stoked. I mean, they come out so good. Like this looks store-bought. It's nuts. But that's not why we're here today, nor is it going to dominate the conversation.
No.
While SolveSpace can do 3D, and I'll show you guys a little bit of that today. Oh, look, Kyle's there. He's like way out of his frame. It's really funny. While SolveSpace can do 3D, it is also super good for 2D. And that directly relates to laser engraving. I'm going to fix Kyle up here really quick. Here's the K-cam. There he is. Looking good. Can you hear Kyle? Because I can't hear Kyle.
I cannot hear Kyle.
All right, good. As long as I'm not crazy. Let me check.
How about now?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Hey.
Noise.
Hey, there he is. This guy.
You know that guy.
Check 1
What's
2.
up?
Check 1 2.
Yeah, you can get rid of the ugly filter if you want. I got us nice. He hasn't seen this yet because Kyle.
Oh no, my office is a mess. You're getting the ugly filter today.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair. Did you see the new overlay, bro?
I did. I love it.
Yeah, it's kind of snazzy, right? I'll add
What's
to
funny
it as
is
time goes
in the
on,
actual video, it's black for me on the back of you anyways. So now it just looks like you're in a really cool dark shadow room.
Yeah, it's like oh, who, Kyle? Yeah.
Yeah, he's
totally.
He's like Batman. Like I was born in the dark.
That's Bane.
Yeah, but that's from Batman. I don't know the words. I don't know the names. Shut up.
Yes, you do.
Freaking nerd. Anyways, speaking of nerds, we got to say hey to the people who are here, man.
Yeah, get them. Let's hit them. Let's do them.
Let's do it. Hey, sweet. What? I don't know if we're allowed to say that. Anyways, oh my gosh, who's first? I can't see it for some reason. It's like blocked on my screen. Here we go. We got Mike,
I believe.
Yeah, Mike C is first. What's going on, dude? And then DeMarco says, "Fram, damn it, second."
Yeah.
Got Bronson came in third. What's going on? Upstream came in fourth.
What's
going on, dude? One of my many computer programming languages I learned over the years. It's great. Let's see. Then we got Jack in the Shop is here. Alex Pugzoo. Chris from Down Under saying hey.
What up?
My goodness, we got a bunch of people here. We've got Santa's Laser Engraving came back. What's going on, sir?
What up, Santa?
Yuri Cheese, what's up, dude? Oh my goodness. One of our Beam It Up Laserworks. Anthony's here. He said, "What's up, everybody? It's been a while since I caught the beginning of the stream. What's up?
We miss you so much, bro.
Dude,
there should be a fourth box on the screen right now.
There should be a fourth box. Let's go.
We do.
My goodness. And then they're talking, need to go to bed, trying to type on this phone tonight. People are struggling. The struggle's real. Let's see. Everybody's excited to see Anthony. We got Smoke and Lasers. What's going on, man?
Hey,
got Gulf Coast Laser Engraving. Richie, what's going on, dude?
What's up, Richie?
Let's see. Got some more. Man, everybody's talking. You know who I haven't seen yet? Oh, Directed Tech is there. There he is. Nice.
What up?
And then the one person I don't see yet is Lara.
Lara. Oh, yeah, no Lara.
That's right. And then Cheryl. We got to get Cheryl and Laura in here. But otherwise, that's pretty much everybody who's here, man. Thanks for showing up, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Again, today's going to be maybe a little rough. And if you're listening, it might be one of those episodes where you want to watch. But I will try to be descriptive with my verbiage as we kind of go along. First of all, to get started, have either of you guys used SolveSpace before? Have you checked it out at all?
What'd you call me?
That's a yes.
Yeah. I'm going to take that as a no. SolveSpace is pretty sweet. So first of all, new overlay, guys, check this out. Wow, now you're on my desktop. This one's really cool. So I'm going to open it up here, and again, I am a novice at this, but it's just so cool that I feel like I have to share it with you guys, at least what I've learned. I will also include in the description after the show. It's not there right now, but I will include a link to the series I've been following to teach myself this, and it's fair, but requires you to do a lot of kind of the problem solving on your own when it comes to things not going right. And I would like to see a better tutorial for this software, so I may end up doing it down the road if that's something people end up being interested in. But for now, I'm just going to try to pass on what I've learned to the barest minimum of points that you guys can, at the very least, see why I like it. Modeling in general, CAD, whether 2D or 3D, has always been something that has really made me feel like I am just not able to get started in it. It's always seemed like too much of a challenge for me to get into. And I've tried a lot of things, from like FreeCAD on Linux, which is really rough around the edges. There's a lot of bugs and problems with it, which I saw firsthand when I was trying to find something that worked for me, to things like Autodesk, like Fusion 360. I just don't get. It doesn't make sense. I don't really like the user layout. And there are things like Tinkercad. Tinkercad was fine, but there are UI elements in it that I don't really like, or that don't make sense to me, or that I find unintuitive. And I also found it really limiting when I was trying to do anything beyond like the absolute most basic stuff. And so SolveSpace kind of solves a lot of those problems for me, from a UI and kind of like beginner friendly sense, while also offering more advanced tools. You can't do everything in this that you can do in 360, but you don't need to do everything 360 can do, I would argue, for the vast majority of cases. So if you're looking to get started, if you're looking to learn, I would highly recommend this, not only because I like it, but because it's the only thing where I've actually been able to like grit my teeth and get through more than like 15 minutes of it without giving myself a migraine. So that's kind of the preface to showing you guys around this today, and I'm really excited to share it with you. One of you guys is looking at chat, right? Because I've got this up on like my
and so what's interesting is people have been kind of following along with you. Mike C had asked, do you have an iPad? I'm guessing because he's going to mention something to you. Oh, he said you should try Shaper 3D if you do.
I've heard that that's popular. Yeah.
Yep. Jack in the Shop.
I'm an avid Shaper 3D user, actually.
That's right. I remember that. Do you use it on an Apple device, or do you have something else that you use it on?
I use it. So I have the Pro subscription, and I use it on my iPad, and I also use it on Windows.
How easy is it? Is it to like? What are the file types that it creates? Like, how easy is it to like export and manipulate?
If you have the base version, it limits you to lower resolution exports, which is fine for a lot of people. If you move up to Pro, you basically get everything in full res. The nice thing about it, so in the base version, you can only have 2 project files running at any given time on the base version, and that's just a limitation of not paying. But if you upgrade to the Pro, you can have unlimited ones, and it's kind of like a cloud save kind of deal, where when you're working on stuff on one computer, I can switch to my iPad and I don't have to worry about transferring files or any crap like that. It's just
like platform based, basically.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
All right, cool.
And then with my iPad, I use the Apple Pencil or whatever, the stylus, and it's pretty intuitive.
I don't have an iPad, but I did forget to mention that this is not only open source and 100% completely free, but also available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. So you can use this regardless of your desktop operating software too, which is really nice. But no, I don't have an iPad, and I don't think it's available in like a mobile format. So this would be like you're sitting at your computer situation.
A couple other things people had mentioned, by the way. Jack in the Shop said that FreeCAD 1.1 dev is a lot better, cleaned up a lot of the bugs. And then, oh my gosh, who was it? Said, Santa's Laser Engraving says, I've used AutoCAD for 28 years and counting, so I get the opposite frustration of it not having what I'm looking for. Beam It Up Laser Works, our boy Anthony said 30 minutes in Fusion 360, and I was ready to live, laugh, toaster bath.
Yikes.
That's fair. I hear you on that.
Well,
It's like so many things to do in that thing. The only reason I like Fusion 360 is when I was still working in my old school district, the art teacher, actually, he created a class called 3D art. And so it was 3D printing, modeling inside of different programs. And I literally got paid an 8-hour day to go to a training. And they were like, hey, bring your 3D printers with you and we'll teach you how to use Fusion 360 and we'll give you a license for it. And I was like, awesome. So basically I went to this training and I was the only person who came. So it was me with a one-on-one tutor for 8 hours learning how to do programming in Fusion
That's
360.
pretty sweet.
By the way, it was the basic of basics. So with 8 hours, that's how long it took to learn the basics of basics with that thing. But I have a pretty good, like I can make something from scratch if I need to, is basically what I got. Like we've made a couple of keychain text, where it's like, okay, we're going to start with an oval. Then we're going to take it and have like letters and numbers come out of it. And then you can actually drop a hole into it and have it shaped through so you can make a keyring, like that kind of basic stuff. But that kind of stuff applies to a lot of different stuffs too, which I think is what you're kind of going to jump into.
Yeah, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to beat an hour because we obviously don't have that long tonight. But I will show you guys again like what I've kind of learned and why this unlocked CAD for me, because I think it was really hard for me to get what you're supposed to be doing in CAD when you first open it up, like what the goal is and what the rules are. And I really like SolveSpace because it kind of turns that into a game and it turns it into like a little puzzle that needs to be figured out. And it's really good at pointing you in the right direction to solve those puzzles, no pun intended. And it really opened up my mind to how you're supposed to go about CAD design. So one thing that I should make super clear up front is that this is obviously, it's not like a mesh editor or like mesh painter, right? We're not in Blender, so these aren't like video game assets. The whole point of CAD is to make things be of specific size and a specific dimension, right? And the way that we do that is by using what's called constraints. So you guys are used to vector shapes, right? So I can draw a square here, and we've got a little square. And the very first thing we're going to start doing before we start doing anything is adding constraints to this. And a constraint basically means that a value has been set and it can't be changed, okay? Up here in our property browser in the top right corner, we have this column here called DOF. That stands for degrees of freedom. And that's how many ways a shape can be moved or modified given the current constraints that are on the shape. And our goal, the goal of the game, in my head at least, the way I like to think about it, the goal of the game is to get the DOF down to 0 for everything you create, because that means every aspect of that shape has been defined. If we have degrees of freedom that are still available to be modified, that means our part can change out from underneath us, right? We can pull the rug out from under ourselves when we get super deep into, making a part or whatever. So basically, as we go through and add features, we want to make sure that the degrees of freedom are 0 by making sure that we are as detailed and specific with our shapes or designs as possible. Right now it says 4. If we have successfully locked down all the degrees of freedom, we will see OK. So that's what we're going for, this green little OK right up here. So right now you can see this rectangle, this square that we've created has 4 degrees of freedom. And that's because we can move it around, right? We can change the height and the width. We could increase this number by getting rid of some of these constraints. So like here we have a horizontal constraint. That means this line, no matter how I manipulate this shape, this line has to remain horizontal. If I click on that and delete it, now this line no longer has to remain horizontal, right? I can move it up and down along the y-axis, which I couldn't before. And if we take a look here, we can see the degrees of freedom now says 5. If I do the same thing and delete one of these vertical constraints, Now we can move one of these points along the x-axis as well as the horizontal without affecting the other ones. So this allows you to move things around, whereas the constraints lock you into certain aspects of, you know, the space that you're working in. So that's kind of the basics of it.
I had a question in chat real quick, by the way.
Yeah, what's up? What's the
just because they were talking about, or Jack in the Shop said, did you install SolveSpace from Flatpak?
I believe this one is from the Arch repository, but the one I'm using at work is a Flatpak, and they both have worked excellently for me. So
there you go.
I've used it both ways. So we want to start locking things down. Okay, that's the goal. Now we're up to 6 degrees of freedom. That's bad. So let's start locking things back into place. So let's say we want this line to be perfectly horizontal. That's a degree of freedom we can lock down. So I can select the line, and then we just come over here to our constraints area. These are all different kinds of constraints, and we can hit the constraint to be horizontal. That's the H, and that locks that line back into a horizontal position. Same thing over here. We can lock this line, which is at a slant now, back into a vertical position by clicking the V. And now that constraint is locked as well. But we can still change the size of our square. Now, we know the square we want to cut out on our laser needs to be a certain size. So we can click a line and hit D for dimension, and we can dictate exactly what we want the length of the square to be. This is super easy, right? So let's say we're going to make this like 60 millimeters. This is all in metric, by the way. So we're going to make this 60 millimeters. I can no longer change the width of the square. It just pulls the whole square around in space, but I cannot change the width, right? Same thing with the this vertical line here. We can hit D, and we can determine you know, a height for that. So let's say 50 millimeters. And now you'll see the square no longer stretches in any direction, which is good. If we come to the home over here in the property browser, we can see our degrees of freedom is down to 2, which is really good. So we're getting closer. One of the things that I like to do early on, we don't want this to be all movie. We want it to stay in the same spot in space. So an easy way to do that would be select 2 points like this, and then we can click this center line right here, and we can hit Y, which I believe is where is it? Symmetric. So we can make it symmetric with that center axis. So if I hit Y, it's going to lock that in. But now you can see everything is red. And so one of the things SolveSpace doesn't like is if you have too many constraints doing the same thing. And it can be hard to remember what constraints you've added or haven't added and whether or not you still need them, but you don't need to worry about that, because in the property browser here, we get this big red solve failed redundant constraints. Remove any one of these to fix it. And it literally lets you pick. So I can either remove this horizontal constraint or I can remove the symmetric constraint. We want the symmetric constraint because that stops our square from moving around in space. So the horizontal one, we don't need that anymore. So I can click it and hit delete on my keyboard. And now we are symmetric, and we no longer need to worry about moving around along the x-axis. We're locked into symmetry with that center axis. Super nice. We can still move the square a single direction here. And so we need to do the same thing for this x-axis center line right here along the y. So we'll select 1 point, shift and select the second one, shift and select that center axis. And then we're going to hit Y for symmetry, and it's all red again. No worries. Redundant constraints is the same exact thing. Remove any one of these to fix it, and it gives you a list. So I'm going to get rid of this vertical one. We don't need that anymore, so we can hit delete. And now I can't move the square at all. It's totally and completely locked into place here. It will not move. And if we go back to home on the property browser, instead of seeing a depth of field or a degree of freedom number, we see okay. So that's it. We're done. Our square is locked into place and it's fully defined. And if we went to go cut the square out right now, it would be exactly what we wanted it to be, 60 by 50 millimeters, perfectly symmetrical, perfectly horizontal and vertical, no weird edges or nothing like that. And that's kind of the beauty of this in the most basic way. You can, if you've messed with Inkscape or Adobe Illustrator, you can use Booleans, which is nice too. So we do have Boolean operators, things like union or difference to add or remove from parts. So if I want to, I can select this center dot right here, and we can do Shift W to do a new drawing. So now we're going to work on a new shape, a new piece of this. And I've never actually tried this only in 3D before, but I'm fairly certain it's going to work. So let's draw this part here, kind of like this, and we will give it a width. And let's go to height. A neat trick is that you can lock points to other points, which is kind of cool. So if I wanted to maybe say, like, I know I need to come 20 millimeters in and 20 millimeters up from these two lines right here on this one, I can select this node right here and hold Shift and select the other one and hit O, which I believe means make equal. Let me make sure of that before I tell you guys the wrong thing. Where is O? O.
Oh my.
O.
Do you see what happens when you have too much freedom, everybody?
I don't even see it. Might stand for origin. I don't remember. Oh, here it is. Constrain point on live, curve, plane, or point. So you're basically telling a point not to move from the point that you're selecting. So it locks 2 points on top of each other, which is really nice. So this is pretty locked in now. I think we might be good. We can check by clicking the home again up here, and we can see here's our new sketch. Sketch in plane. Okay. So that one's completely locked in because of that point constraint. Now, if I am correct about this, let's see.
A few people we had, John Upping said, oh, it's magic.
It always makes me think of Robot College from Futurama. Oh.
Well, Anthony said, O'Reilly's. That's going to be in my head now forever. And then Directed Tech said he's firing up Fusion 360 now because watching this, he's like got a project he's working on. He's like, yeah, let's start messing with this thing. By the way, so for people who aren't listening, how is this something, or why is this something that they should use? Because I'm not sure we like got too deep into it.
Yeah, I mean, people are buying laser files all the time, and this is an easy way to do things. Not like, oh, it's Christmas Santa laser cutout. You know, this is more like I need a shim for my like laser head because it's there's too much of a gap. You know, like
exactly you can what I'm trying to do to make it level and have everything come out like an even engraving again.
Yeah, the nice thing about this is that if you can measure things, then you can cut parts for things.
Precision parts too, by the way.
Yeah, precision parts for things. This is how you get perfect parts for things. Maybe I'm not doing a good job verbalizing that, but
no, you're good. I just think it was like for the people who aren't watching this because they have to listen to it, right? Like thinking, okay, hey, why does this matter? Because we can see what's going on here, but just thinking about the people listening. The other thing is Anthony had asked, well, two things. Jack in the Shop said, just installed this and is following along. It's very snappy and responsive. I think I'm going to like playing with this one. And Anthony, Beam It Up Laserworks said, is there a CNC aspect to this, and or can it send G code?
I don't believe it sends G code. So what you get is we can export a few different things here: a 2D view, a 2D section, wireframe, triangle mesh, or surfaces. So if I export the triangle mesh here, it's going to give me an STL by default. which I like and am used to because I would primarily use this in a 3D fashion for 3D printing. But you can also get an OBJ, let's see, JS compatible mesh, VRML text. I don't know what that is. And HTML, which is weird. But you get the STL and OBJ, but I don't know if it's going to be. This is for like getting the object. I don't know if it's going to be used as like, what's the CNC version of a slicer? You know, it's not going to be generating code for you. You'd have to like run it through.
By the way, this discussion has generated like 4 or 5 questions. See, so good stuff.
Okay.
So people are saying a couple of things. One, Santa's Laser Engraving said, I'm already going, oh, that's too many steps. But if you're starting out, this is really important stuff to learn, which is constraints, because they allow you to ensure that you don't mess something up with something else. So it's really good that you're going over this, is what he was saying. Speaking of CNC, Mike said, I think I saw an announcement that MillMage was just released. So we'll talk about that at the end of the show for sure. Directed Tech was saying, I make jigs with this kind of stuff all the time in Fusion and then 3D print them. So it's great. Like you were saying, shims and jigs and stuff like that. And then Chris said, once an object is, Chris Gallagher said, once an object is fully constrained, then you decide to change it. How do you unlock the constraints?
You would delete or modify them. So like that's kind of a cool thing too. So let me just for the sake of example here, let me give you a different one. So I'm going to delete this and get us right back to where we were, because that's a good question. So it's actually really smart about that. So if let's say we're doing a rotary fixture, right? Kyle loves doing rotary fixtures. We want to do rotary fixture. So the first thing I'm going to do is select this point in the center of this circle here, and I will select the kind of origin point there and hit O to lock that in, and we'll lock that down. We still have 1 degree of freedom here, and that's the diameter or radius of our circle. So let's define that with D, and again, I will type in a value here. So let's say it needs to be 150 millimeters. Again, I'm just kind of making up numbers, Kyle. I don't know if it would be anywhere near this, but so great. We have our circle. This is what's going to sit on our rotary, right, as it spins. But now let's say we need a bunch of like disc holes in it to set like coins into or something, so we can mark coins around the circle as it's rotating. This is easy to do. So we're going to select the center point again, Shift W for a new sketch. That's important. We want a separate sketch for each layer of this, each big change or object we're adding. So we've got a new sketch here. You can tell because the original circle got dark. It's no longer white, right? And we're going to draw a new circle, and this circle is going to be the one that our coin sits in. So I can go ahead and make this as big or as small as I want. So we'll go there, and let's move it kind of inside here, and we'll hit D. Oops, got to select it first. D to define how large we want the diameter to be. And I'm going to go to like 15 here. So there we go. So we've got our circle, and it is in space. It is not set yet, so I can still move this around. Sorry, I hear my daughter on the stairs. So I can still move this around, but we're not going to lock it in yet, because one of the cool things we can do is erase. You can do erase just like you can in Lightburn. So if I select this one here, and we select an axis to rotate around. Let's see, a point while locked in a work plane, a point and a line to rotate around. Let me see, sorry, again, I'm still kind of learning. I should be able to just do it. An axis through the point. Locked in a work plane, rotate in plane about that point. Sorry, this is easier. This is harder than I remember it being.
It's all good. By the way, 2 things just popped up.
Anthony, I got it.
Yeah,
okay.
You're kind of working through that. Anthony said, as a CNC beginner, it's gold to have this kind of stuff because being able to use the same file to cut something and then the laser on it is huge, right? Because it just saves you processing time and that precision. You keep precision from one to the next. There's no like weird shit that happens. And then Beam It Up said, or actually, Mike was talking about using it for inlays and stuff too. And then Chris said, "Are you selecting the outer circle?"
I am selecting the outer circle.
There you go. All right, I'll shut up and let you go back to explaining. Go for
Which
me.
should work, but it's not working. It's allowing me to do it with a point, but not with the actual circle itself, and I'm not entirely sure why. All right. Well, this isn't really the point. I was trying to answer the original question of like, so if we have this, and then we.
How do you unlock the constraints? Is what the question was.
How do we unlock the constraints? So let's just for the sake of just answering that question. So I've got my little circle inside my big circle, right? So let's say we've left this and we're going to move on with our project. Okay, so I'm going to select this plane. We're going to add a new drawing, and in this drawing, I like build a square, and we extrude the square out into 3D space. I'm making it crazy on purpose to show you guys that when this is done and we come back here, if I want to change then, let me make this 3D transparent so you guys can see what I'm doing. If I then need to change this circle, I can come back basically in time and select this one. And we can then change this to like 30.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I come back forward in time, now we have the 30 millimeter square. And this isn't the best example of this, but essentially like you can go back and make changes at any time, at any point in the process, as long as you are careful to make sure that it's not going to destroy things that you've already done in the future, I guess. I don't know if that's a really super good way to explain that. I think a better example would be, well, let me start a new project really quick.
So 2 things.
Keep going.
Jack,
I'll try to probably do this.
Jack in the shop said, so it's parametric. I think it's kind of what you were getting at there. And then DeMarco asked, what does SolveSpace allow you to do that Tinkercad is limited in your opinion? So looking at this versus Tinkercad, why is this one? And we kind of covered that at the beginning, DeMarco, what's up? But real quick, like 10 seconds or less recap.
Yeah, so in my opinion, and this might just be because I wasn't able to figure out how to do it. Let me be super clear about that. It might not be the fault of Tinkercad at all. One selection, please. But another good example of like things I wasn't able to figure out in Tinkercad would be, I'm kind of at this stage now. So it's easy enough to, hold on. I need to set this up a little better. I will answer that question in 1 second. So let me draw, oh my God, okay. This, draw a new square, please God. There we go. And then let us extrude this square, and let's pull this way and turn this on. Okay, so difference. Pull this in. Okay, so here in this example, right, I have extruded this smaller square into the bigger one that's kind of created like a relief. Yeah, see that? So I've kind of like pressed that material in. One of the things I found really difficult in Tinkercad that I wasn't really super able to do was being able to choose which plane this occurs from. So here I've pushed this extrusion in from the left side of the larger square, but if I want to, I could also choose to do that from the right side of the larger square by just creating a new sketch on the right side. So I can hit Shift W here and then draw another square, and I could make this, you know, good or perfect or whatever if I wanted to. We could extrude that. I can once again grab this, push it in, and then hit difference. And let's just go ahead and do that. So now I've got like this situation where I'm choosing like which side of this I want to be extruding in from, and I can hide these as well. So let me hide all so that you can actually see this a little better and turn those lines off. So now I've chosen the plane that that extrusion, whether positive or negative, is occurring from. And so we've done that from the outside face or the inside face. I can also do it from the origin face, which I really like. So let me show all again. And if we look here, we've got the outside face, the center kind of origin face, and then this right side one over here. So if I select the center one, where are you? That's the one I want right there. So I select the center one, and we do Shift W, and we do another new sketch, and I draw another rectangle here, okay? And we do another extrusion. Now this one's coming from the inside of it, and I can even go as far as to say two-sided. If we take a close look here, you'll see these double white lines around the inside. So that is actually the interior extrusion there. And I can set that to difference as well, which will make that hollow, but working outwards from both directions to the outside rather than starting on a face and going in, which has allowed me to do some really awesome things right out of the bat. Now, Tinkercad may be able to do that, but
that's actually something DeMarco just said. That's not you couldn't figure it out. That's actually a real limitation in Tinkercad that
okay, good.
That he thinks as well from what he knows.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I wanted to do like right away, because doing these kind of extrusions was really important for me to do things like jig bars. You know what I mean? Being able to do kind of different offsets from different faces depending on the side of the object that I was looking at. And this makes it super easy to choose the kind of origin point for different extrusions and constraints. And so that is one of the things that's made this actually really usable for me when things like Tinkercad felt like I was just running into walls trying to figure that out without it being like overly difficult. Of course, this shape is useless here. I've done nothing of value, but I'm just trying to showcase, I guess, some of the things that it does. And again, I'm brand new to this, guys. I've been doing it for about 3 days. But I am super stoked on it because I can do it. You know what I mean? Like, and I've never been able to do this before. So I think that part of it is really exciting for me. What are you laughing at? What's so funny?
I like literally, as I was looking at DeMarco's name, I said he because I saw the puppet dog that talks.
Oh yeah.
As I said he, knowing it's a she because it's freaking DeMarco. But anyway, and I literally told Kyle, I'm like, shit, I just said DeMarco was a he, not a she, and then got called out for it.
Nice.
Thanks, DeMarco. Yeah, I'm an old crazy man, but yeah, I think that's pretty dope. Like the fact that you can do all that stuff. And what's cool with the parametric thing is what we were saying in the chat was like it basically keeps you from, because it's so easy to have some kind of a weird little slip up that's like a fraction of a millimeter, but then over the course of like a 3-inch thing that becomes 1.2 millimeters or something by the other end, because it's like it goes off at like a random slant, you know. And then that's where I think Jack in the shop, I said, you don't have a whoopsie that's off by a whole millimeter on one side. And he said, yeah, whoopsie is the technical term. I said, make sure not to confuse that with a what the fuck, which is also another technical term.
True.
Yeah. So all those things. And Chris said, looks like a new software to learn. On the plus side, it will mean that I can retire some of my other programs. Yeah, facts.
Yeah, it's I'm I'm making a lot of assumptions about what this can and can't do based on my skill level, which is obviously low. So there might be guys, and I know for a fact there are guys in chat right now that are looking at this and being like, wow, this sucks. He hasn't even talked about like X, Y, or Z. And it's just because I haven't gotten that far yet. And when I do, it may very well suck. I might figure that out. But so far, with what I've had to do with it, I've just found it forgiving enough that I can actually learn to do any of it. Another good example, and this is kind of like a better way to show, because we had gotten this question earlier. So I've extruded out this cylinder here. And if I go back to the home menu and I go to this other sketch that I've added, let's look at it flat here. And we, nope, no thank you, undo. That's a oopsie. Let's grab the circle.
Not to be confused with the what the fuck.
Oh, it's because I'm looking at the wrong side of this. That would help. Okay, and we now, let's say we will extrude this new circle. So let's do that. There it is. And let's make this a difference so that we're deleting. There we go. Okay, so I've essentially drilled a hole in this part, right? If I want to go back, and we go back to the original sketch, I could then change the diameter of this, right? And we go to home, and we go back to forward in time. And you can see the diameter of the original part has changed, but the hole's position has not, which is beautiful. We can also do that same thing with the original sketch of the hole that we've put in. So I can resize that hole that we've added and then go back to the extrude, and you'll see the hole size has changed, but the extrusion depth, right, this length here, has remained the same, as well as its position relative to the original part. So yes, that would be the parametric aspect of it. That's a little bit better of a visual,
like an explanation on that, to connect it.
Yeah, to connect it. And you can go a lot deeper than this. I'm only going like 1 or 2 steps deep, but I've made edits to parts like 10 steps deep, where I've gone back to like step 2 or step 3 and made a change, and it's reserved everything else that I had done so far.
Yeah, and that's
so that aspect
really
of it has worked
cool.
really well.
That's really cool, because that's where John Upstream was saying, yep, you got to be careful, because you can even have an shit, which is another form of whoopsie. It's one of the technical ones.
All technical terms.
Yeah, and that's when the Control Z don't work anymore. But the nice thing is you don't have to worry about Control Z, because you can literally be like, this one, we want to fix this, and then all the rest of it stays the same. Pretty dope.
See, I've had a what the fuck before where I've Control Z too far and I've deleted my project by accident. Yeah,
that hurts to hear.
Yeah, it hurt to feel.
And what was funny is pretty much everybody in chat is loving the fact that you're just talking to the screen as you do it, because that's exactly what happens as you learn CAD. Because you're like, okay, this does this. Oh shit, no, it doesn't. Okay, we go, because you have to play with it, man.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, and I don't know if you have an answer or not.
I'll try.
So I've been known to make jigs for myself, because it's the thing I do, and fixtures and such.
Indeed. Yes.
And so I have outlines, like I have cut files that I would layer to create a fixture. So on a rotary jig, I'd have the base platform, which is a solid sheet essentially, with just mounting hole cutouts, right? For like either a plate or like the rotary jaws or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then the next layer up would be the segment where parts would fit into, and the base layer would hold them from falling through.
Yep.
I can basically export that from Lightburn as a DXF, an AI, or an SVG, and I can import that into Shaper 3D, and then I can extrude the layers so I don't have to redraw it. in that software. I can just use the existing drawing from Lightburn. Can you import a drawing onto a flat plane in SolveSpace?
Because
that would be money for sure.
I can import DXF and DWG files.
Okay. So
if you want to send me one, I can try it. I can do it right now while we're live. If you have an example, and I can show you how it imports and what that looks like.
I don't have my shop computer here, but I can make one instantly.
Sure.
All right, and in chat, Chris was saying, I was told that swearing doesn't count as talking to the screen. I just want to remind you, you just have to swear it upside down or backwards since you're in Australia, obviously, because vertices, right? I think that's parametricism.
Yeah. Those are all new words that mean things.
Let's see. And then Sans Laser Engraving, who has been doing this, kind of going back to his previous comment for 28 years, said when you get proficient with this, you find yourself thinking like 3 steps ahead of where you're drawing. And if someone interrupts, it takes time to remember where you were. So basically, you're like, okay, I got to finish this part, but that's because it's going to connect to this part. Okay, I got to think about, and like you're shifting axes and stuff in your mind. And then you just kind of got to think 4th dimensionally, according to Doc Brown.
Sure.
Because 3 dimensions plus time, where is this going to be in a few minutes?
Yeah, and of course, you guys are getting like, I'm probably just sitting here embarrassed because I'm not an expert at this, and I'm usually an expert about what I'm talking about on the show. But you guys are getting like the super raw, rough draft version of this spiel from me because I don't know it super well. You can see I was like able to make this array out of these circles, but it won't let me make the circular array for some reason, and I haven't really figured out why.
Well, but what I think is cool is showing people the process of getting started, and it's okay to not be an expert. Like,
yeah, it's totally okay to start. That's how you figure it out. Yeah, that's how you.
But what's really neat is this is a free product that's open source that people can go, and if you download it, you could. If you're like, fuck this, I don't want to mess with this, delete it.
Yeah, you can just delete it. Yeah, you
this is why when you pay for files like this, by the way, these are great files to pay for. Or when you think about people who create jigs for you, or you're like, hey, is it really worth $15 to have somebody create this for me? If they're using programs like this, yeah, right.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm definitely going to do, and I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, is that I will post links to the tutorials that I've been watching so far in the description. If you want to watch the same ones, so you kind of maybe, I don't know, get the same mindset as I got from watching them. The tutorial it's very slow. It's like an hour long. It doesn't break things down super well into like neat individual videos where you're like learning one topic at a time. It's kind of like somebody shoving you into the pool. But
yeah,
it was well formatted enough that I could pick up on it. I would love to do a series about something like this in kind of my teaching style at some point. When I feel I know it well enough to do that, because there is kind of a vacuum for this particular piece of software, but I really, really like it. And again, that's just because when everything else has kind of failed me as far as like intuitiveness, and this, I was actually able to sit down and like make myself learn it. I mean, that's like huge points for me. When I was like completely avoidant of this before. Yeah,
chat's agreeing. Chris said sometimes not knowing things lets you find out different and better ways to do something, like with either a software or just practicum in software. Sans Laser Engraving said no better teacher in the world than just trying something in the software. Like, hey, what does this do? Because worst case, undo it, right?
Yeah.
And then that's where John said, unless you have to redo a deck of punch cards to rewrite your program. Yeah, that would not be fun.
Yeah, thankfully I missed that time, and I am not. I'm not
the full times.
Yeah. One of the cool things I was able to do in this too, which I did as part of the tutorial series. Here, actually, I can show you guys this. So this was one of my early projects. I was just trying to do a simple fixture bar, which is what we have here. So these are 25 millimeter spaced holes. Kyle gave me some advice on sizing things. So these are 6.2 millimeter holes. so you can get the M6 through and mount it to your work table. And so that was it. It was just like a really basic part, but it was my first part, and I think it came out pretty good. You turn these overlays off so you guys can just see the part there, which is pretty neat. That you're able to do things like this. So this too, like I don't have to pay anybody for this. I didn't have to, I made it once, and now I could print this and make as many of them as I want to, and it's mine forever, which is cool. Kyle sent me the file that he wants me to try to import. Do you want me to try to import this over an existing drawing, or like as a new thing?
As a new thing.
This is an SVG, so I would need like.
I sent you both the DXF and an SVG.
Oh, did you? All right, let me see.
By the way, I just want to say that sounds like a badass like indie rock band, 25mm space holes. I would listen to that band. I would listen to that band.
I don't know if I would go with badass. All right, let's see.
Check out the new drop from the space holes.
Right, there is your file that you sent. So you just want to import this at all, or you want to import it on top of something else? Sorry, I missed your answer.
Just import it at all, and then see if you can extrude any of the.
Okay, so here's a brand new file, and I'm going to go to File, Import, and this is in my Downloads folder. There's rotaryplate.dxf, and I'm going to hit Open, and there is your drawing. So you want me to try to extrude out these holes?
Extrude out the main plate and leave the holes empty.
Oh, where they are? I see. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Well, that
because those would be the bolt holes for the rotary.
It should be doable. The bummer is that like all of this is in the same sketch. That's kind of going to be the difficult part, but I will try it. So there's our circle selected, and I'm going to extrude. I can't read. Oh yeah, sure. There they are.
I'm like 15 seconds behind because I'm watching YouTube.
Oh yeah, no worries. But yes, they are. It appears to have done what you wanted it to do.
It did a thing.
Yeah, so we can.
And we learned.
We can make this thinner, and then we can take a look, and there's your holes.
All right,
there you go.
Right there. There are your holes, Kyle.
We did
what I like to hear.
Yep, there are your holes.
Yeah, and then if I want to, so I could go to Home here, and we can flatten this out, and I could. Oh God, I hate how it highlights the faces. I got to turn that off. That is one of the absolute worst things ever. Off. There we go. So yeah, now I should be able to, if I do, we select a plane and Shift W, I should be able to like even add holes to your model with a new drawing. So if I like need a big hole here, then we could move this over here and we can extrude it, and we'll take a look at it in 3D. There we go. So we've got that big piece there. I will set it to difference, and we can change the extrusion size. Normally I would make that exactly the width of the part, but we don't have the width of the part defined at the moment. So there's that. And then we can turn faces back on to visualize, and I've just put a hole in your part as well, Kyle. So yeah, it seems to be 100% completely editable.
There you go.
Would you say it's wholly editable for holes?
Wholly, yeah, wholly and completely editable.
Name that file Preparation H because it looks good on the whole.
Yeah, sure. You got it done.
Thanks.
No worries.
Preparation A through G. Shit.
I think that's about the time we had. Sorry guys, I didn't mean to.
No, this was really cool. Like that's actually exactly what people were asking about in chat. They're like, "Hey, if you have something already, could you like now put inlays in and stuff like that?" Which kind of an inlay, right? Like, I mean, it fits inside what's already there. But basically that's where you can do some cool modifications. And if you're like, for me, I literally have this, I think, is this the one that you sent me ages ago that I cut, Kyle, for mine?
No, this is something
A
else.
new one. Okay, I have one, and that's one of those things where the cool thing is I could actually take that, make it smaller, put it on the one that I already have, and now I've got like a coin jig that fits on something that I already have that fits in my like the 3 tong spin, rotation.
Yeah.
So,
The only thing that I haven't been able to do with this that I've tried to do, which I don't think it supports, is importing something that's already 3D. So I can't bring an STL into it and then edit the STL, right? Which I don't really think you're supposed to be able to do anyway. I'm pretty sure like normal CAD software doesn't do that, but I tried and it doesn't work. So you have to start from something flat and like build it out yourself. And if you do want to make changes to it later, you have to save the SolveSpace as like a SolveSpace file so you can go back to it and make changes that way. So
yeah, and then DeMarco said, "Thanks so much. I'm super interested in this and would have never explored it without this. So thanks," she said.
you're welcome. I'm glad I could help her,
Yes,
Matthew.
myself as well as happy that she, a female, has been helped as well too, sir. I
Indeed.
mean,
Speaking of new softwares to keep on your radar, if you want to look into new stuff, MillMage officially launched today.
Yeah,
I would be more excited about that if I actually had something in my
A
shop
CNC
that would use it, which I don't.
I would love to mess with CNC, especially now that I have a garage I could put one in. But that also is a monetary investment.
When we say CNC, are we talking about like X carves or are we talking about like Tormox?
Like
yes,
probably one or the other.
I think it'd be smart to learn with like an X carve or something like that. So when I talked to Jason over a year ago, I think one of the last times I talked to him was like right around the hurricane that happened like a year and some change ago. He had mentioned that they were making the machine initially and mainly for what you said, the X carves and stuff like that, where it's like 400 by 400, 600 by 600, because that's where you're going to have the most users, right? And also the stuff that's already out there, I think that they're trying to start there and they're going to start moving towards what you're talking about, with like the higher end gear being, because this is more kind of like for the lasers, right? Like they made laser engraving software that was accessible for people like us who just like walk into it and kind of like, oh hey, I can use this. And then it should be able to use like cross brands for like medium machines. Yeah, X carves is what Jack in the shop said.
What I'd really like to get my hands on maybe one day is like a Onefinity, but I know there's more options out there, but it's just what was.
I've wanted to for a while buy one of those desktop like CNCs that they sell on AliExpress, like the really shitty.
Well, I've been talking to Anthony in Discord about he has the little tiny desktop one. It's actually not even little tiny. He's got a good size one that's like a 6-inch to 8-inch one. And let's see, Anthony says, I can vouch for MillMage. It looks and works like Lightburn, but a little different when you hit send. So that's dope that he's been using that.
Nice.
But yeah, I was literally just talking to him because like he's actually in Discord, he's been talking about making his next coin for the coin challenge out of brass, like just a chunk of brass that he got. So like it's cool as shit to make stuff like that. He's also made a couple of fixtures and utility tools.
Yeah, I saw. Speaking of which, I saw
really clean looking, by the way, Anthony. Good work, man.
Anthony mentioned that next round is due by like within a week, I think, for the coin challenge. So if you're not on the Discord, make sure you go check it out. There's a link down in the description to that. That's always open, and the coin challenge is always a fun way to learn how to do things that you might not know how to do, like coin engraving or
pushing
CAD.
yourself to try new stuff and learn new things.
I've been primarily using SolveSpace to build parts and things for my 3D printer. So I feel like a lot of the examples tonight that I had off the top of my head that I knew how to do quickly were in 3D, but you can use it as a 2D parametric CAD software, which is really good for laser cutting. And I don't want to undersell that just because we were looking at 3D examples tonight. That's just what I've been doing. So that's how I knew how to show you guys stuff. But you can do the same thing for 2D stuff as well if you're trying to like laser cut different shapes or jigs or fixtures or whatever, it can absolutely be used that way. So I just want to make that clear. But I do think that we are done for tonight. I'll try to get better at this stuff. If you guys want to talk to me about it, hit me up in the Discord. I'd love to chat more about it after the show's over, because that's what I'm doing right now. And if you want to support the show, guys, we're back to being 100% viewer funded. We have been for a while now. And so we need every single one of you guys to be able to keep doing this week after week, whether it's new episodes of Laser Everything or the Laser Source podcast, or even Make Army episodes like the one about the Elegoo Centauri, because that was really fun to make. So, I want to keep doing this stuff, and you guys make it possible. So if you're already supporting the show, which most of you live here right now are, thank you guys so much. And if you're not, lasereverything.net/support. You'll find out all the ways that you can support the show, so we can continue bringing you guys stuff like this. And make sure you hit up the links to my co-hosts down in the description. Kyle's got an Etsy shop. It's full of beautiful, wonderful things. That printer's moving again, so maybe we'll finally see Kyle's new 3D printed parts that he's been making on Etsy. I really want that to be true soon. And Matt does coaching for small business consultation if you want to talk to him about that. And of course, we've actually been super busy with the Laser Everything laser coachings as well. Kyle's got like 5 of them coming up in like the next week and a half. So
Nice.
you can find out more about that on the Laser Everything website as well. But I think that's all I've got, guys, unless you have anything you want to throw in before we dip for the night.
That's it. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here, and we will